As you should, and turn the notification down on your phone because I can hear it through the monitor.
It's also mine.
Okay, Shelby, tell us when we're live.
I have no volume on my phone on anything.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Heathen Talk Season 2, Episode 10. Tonight, we are talking about Thralldom. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in live. We really appreciate your live listening. We also appreciate those of you who download the show. You guys make our lives worth living. I would really like to have you all go to... Sorry, guys. I would really like to have you all go to heathentalk.com and check out our blogs, check out the RSS feed for the show, check out the Java Mall, do all the things. Facebook.com/heathentalk, reddit.com/r/heathentalk. If you can find a social media outlet, chances are we have something of a presence there. We may not check it, but we're probably there. And I'm going to go ahead and say if you submitted live events, we're kind of short-staffed tonight. Events were what they were, and Lauren is not with us, so we don't have the list of events, but we appreciate all of you who have submitted them. And if they were upcoming this week, shoot hosts at heathentalk.com a message, and we will make sure a video gets put out to promote said events. And Thorin.
Well, tonight as Josh mentioned, we're live at Schulte's Bar and Grill in the U District in Seattle, Washington. I am going to straight up say that I would love to say that we're live because we're trying to pull some sort of gimmick. That we're trying to show you what real boots in the ground heathenry is about. The reality of the situation is I'm a terrible planner. You see, as has been mentioned on this podcast before, my tribe does a once-a-month Pub Moot. And this month, because I just started a new job working with my tribesman Matt, who's also our producer, means that now I have Saturdays and Sundays off. So we thought, hey, let's do our Pub Moot on a Saturday. That would be fan-fucking-tastic. Wow, we got like 2 minutes in the show before I did that.
Yeah, it was not great.
Yeah. So I'm like, that would be awesome. We're going to do our Pub Moot on Saturday. And it wasn't until after we told everybody locally that we were going to do it today that Josh comes to me and says, hey, what about the podcast? So we decided we were going to attempt this live cast from Schulte's. This will be a hopefully one-time only event as I plan to plan better in the future. So thanks everybody for bearing with us on that. Now, some of you might be noting the absence of our normal co-host, Lauren. And we are also deeply and greatly noting her absence.
It's true.
She is usually the person who helps us get all the technical details worked out, and usually things run extremely smooth because Lauren is present. Tonight, things are running really, really rough because Lauren is not present. You see... Lauren, for reasons, is not able to be here tonight, and we are trying to run without her. Now, because we understand exactly how great the difficulty is to run without Lauren, and despite the fact that we're able to get this podcast out, it is a pain in the ass without Lauren. We have chosen her as a subject for tonight's toast.
It's true.
So, Lauren, you are the reason this podcast runs smoothly. Tonight it is not. It's getting done, but it's not easy. So Lauren, because you make this easy, this toast is for you. And to hell with all the other toast requests we got this week. None of them are as important as this.
To Lauren.
To Lauren. All right. So the toast taken care of. Josh, what are you drinking?
You'll have to remind me the name of the distillery.
Westland.
Apparently it's a local whiskey. I know next to nothing about this whiskey. I don't know how long it was aged. I don't know how old this is. But I can tell you that it's pretty damn good whiskey.
Long story short, Josh, being our boss, was stressing out about this podcast a little bit more than me today. And so I decided he needed a shot. And I went and I asked the bartender's opinion. And the bartender says, "Oh, we've got this stuff from Westland. They're local. They're a Seattle distillery." And I said, "Sure, we'll go with that." Because I usually trust local liquor and beer. It's usually good. Apparently it was.
This is a good whiskey. Smooth. It's got a little bit of tongue bite. Very little burn down the back. Can definitely taste the oak. Wonderfully colored. Maybe not my top 10, my top 5, but definitely top 10.
And honestly, from a no-name distillery in Seattle, I'm going to call that a good thing. So I am drinking a much more mundane beer than I would normally prefer to drink on beer, or drink on air. Drink on beer. Excuse me, I'm on my 3rd liter today because it's fucking Oktoberfest. I did it again. And I'm going to keep looking at Josh tonight. You guys don't get an option on that. This is Sam Adams Oktoberfest. Normally, I would try to drink something a little bit more out of the realm of something you can buy at a gas station, but it's not bad. It's actually a pretty decent Oktoberfest beer. I've also had Hofbrau Munich today, and
one other one.
Inbound, it wasn't good, so I'm not going to go with it. It was a terrible Oktoberfest. However, this particular bar gets about 40 different Oktoberfests a year, and we go through trying to sample as many of them as possible. Right now, I'm on the Sam Adams Oktoberfest. It's a good, solid offering for an Oktoberfest beer. I can't complain about it. So, cheers to you all.
Real quick, before we dive into the subject, I just want to apologize to our normal listeners. Normally, there is not this much background noise. We are live streaming, as Thorin said, and so you're going to hear people in the background celebrating Oktoberfest because it's goddamn Oktoberfest. And we're excited.
Well, yeah, that and it's a Huskies game tonight.
And the Huskies are playing the Ducks, which, I mean, when you get Washington fighting against Oregon, it's going to be
People are going to make noise, yeah. And while we, as the hosts of Heathen Talk, don't, for the most part, particularly care about sports ball, we have to realize that our local communities do. And that's kind of what's going on tonight. At some point tonight, in fact, also because the Oktoberfest celebration, I am going to get up and I'm going to leave this podcast. And I'm going to leave Josh to it. And I might hand my headphones to, I don't know, maybe our producer, Matt, to try to fill in the gaps. Because our favorite Oktoberfest bar here tends to get tiny little kegs from obscure Austrian towns and tap them once a year. And tonight's that night, so I am going to have to get up and go get us drinks from said obscure little casks. Is everybody okay with that?
I'm down. I'll make that sacrifice.
Josh, are you going to complain when I bring you in a beer from an obscure little Austrian town?
I might bitch a little about, the fact that I too have to pee. But other than that, no, we're good. So,
okay.
Thorin.
So tonight we're talking about a topic that has actually been a little bit important to me. I've been wanting to do this episode for a little while, and we've been trying to wait until we were in a better place to talk about it. And today was supposed to be the day. I would have loved it if we could have had Lauren on here as a third perspective and as a second chieftain on air to talk about it. But events be as they may, she was unavailable. But we're going to talk about thrall periods, why they're important to modern tribal structure, and whether or not they're actually necessary to modern tribal structure. In the modern day, is much different from our ancestors' day as far as trying to figure out who is part of the tribe and who is part of the Innegard. I would say in antiquity, that was a much easier question to answer, because the person who belonged as part of the tribe was probably somebody who was born into the tribe, and we really don't have that to go on today.
I would agree with that. I mean, the process of thralling or worthing in or whatever your particular group calls it, where you analyze potential members, is a completely modern thing. You would have people who would adopt into a tribe or become part of a tribe through their deeds throughout history, but for the most part, you would see as Mark calls them, the heathens. They were raised in it. If you were part of the tribe, you grew up in that tribe. And so we're essentially taking a term that means slave and turning it into entirely different.
Right.
We're reappropriating our own culture.
We are reappropriating our own culture, and we're taking a term that has a very specific meaning and twisting and bastardizing that term to actually work for our current day, because the way we use it has very little connection to the way it was used in the past. And I think I want to start with a particular part of this topic, because I think it's going to be one of the more controversial parts of this topic, and it's going to be very important for us to get out of the way so people can stop objecting to this episode from the very beginning. Is why are we talking about the word thrall specifically?
And I completely understand. I've got people in my own group who object to the word thrall simply because it means slave or servant. And historically, you would see a thrall was someone who not only had no worth, but was a slave. They did what they were told, when they were told, regardless of what it was, and they were taken from their home into that position. We use, as far as I can discern, because again, my group does not use this term. As far as I can discern, we use the term thrall because you are earning your worth within the group. So to start out with a word that means worthless, that means you are at the whim of those around you. It's not about. I've talked to Toby is one of my good friends, and he's a Theodsman who went through a thrall period and has thralls, and he'll tell you straight up that it's not really a slave period. It's earning your keep. It's earning your name.
It's demonstrating your worth to the tribe and earning worth from the tribe. Now, I'm going to start out with talking about the particular use of that word with an anecdote of one of my own folk, one of my own tribal people. Our producer, Matt. Matt was one of the first members of my tribe. And when I first got going with this, with Stone Shore, how do I put this? I was actually willing to let the first members of my tribe bypass the thrall period. And there's a whole lot of history there. The fact that there were original members that were the founders with me that are no longer with us. And I was sort of in a rebuilding point of that. But when I was rebuilding my tribe, I was willing to bypass the thrall period to get a certain number of people. Now, Matt and his wife Autumn, my first two thralls, they were, or at least on Matt's part, were definitely against being thralls in the beginning. And most of that went back to the concept of the word thrall itself, because of the connotations that come with it. Because a thrall is somebody who is without worth. A thrall is somebody who has to prove himself or herself. And for Matt specifically, he was somebody who had gone through so many periods in his life where he had to be that guy. Like myself, he's a veteran. And in fact, I would say, if there are levels of being a veteran, I would say Matt's more of a veteran than I am. And he's been there in ways that I haven't. Him to be a thrall to me is almost insulting. However, the concept that I worked with in trying to explain the reasoning behind using that language and using that concept was that if somebody who's trying to join a tribe and is unwilling to for a brief period of time subsume their own ego into that tribe and be willing to be known by that moniker for whatever period of time that tribe dictates, may mean that person isn't suitable for the tribe. If they don't trust that tribe enough, if they don't value that tribe enough, this thing they're trying to become a part of and trying to be known for, they can't let go of their ego for even a short period of time and be called a thrall, might say they're not suitable for that tribe, that they're not committed enough to that tribe, that they're not dedicated enough to that tribe. And in the end, in the case of my own thralls, that argument won the day. Matt and Autumn saw the merit in that argument and are now my thralls, and in a time period that I have not decided to let them know about, are going to become full members. I have no doubt about that.
So, concept and idea of the thrall for any given tribe, especially yours, Thorin, because you were doing things differently than the Thayeds are. And when most people hear thrall, they think Thayed. Think Thayedish belief, or the less approved term Thayedism. You're welcome, Toby. What is a thrall's duty when you're talking about your particular group?
Well, in my group, the thrall needs to. Okay.
It means I wash your car, right?
No. Okay, don't listen to the thrall. First of all, it means you shouldn't listen to the thrall, because if the thrall says something like that on air, I might kick him down the stairs. No. So the point of the thrall period is many things. But I would say most clearly, at least in my tribe, the point is twofold. Number one is going to be educational. In the fact that I'm going to give the thrall tasks. I'm going to give the thrall things that they need to read, ideas they need to consume. I'm going to give them, for example, I think the most recent thing was that I needed them to read We Are Indeed from Eric Wodening, so that we could discuss that, talk about the things they picked up from that, talk about the places that Eric Wodening was correct, talk about the places where Eric Wodening was incorrect. And when I say correct and incorrect, I'm talking largely about from my own interpretations and how my tribe views it. But that sort of education is really secondary to the main point. The main point is that at any given time, what a thrall needs to be doing is adjusting to the thew of the tribe. In my tribe, a thrall period lasts a year and a day. And in that year and a day, you are becoming a member of the tribe. You are learning from the tribe, but largely what you are learning is stuff that's never stated. It's about you are trying to figure out what is good for the tribe and what is bad for the tribe, which are largely concepts of good and evil. Now, for those of you who are actually watching live and seeing a feed through this video, you'll notice that Josh has left us. I assure you that is momentary. Now, if you look to my right, you'll see that Matt has joined us. Matt is our producer. Matt is also one of the thralls that I'm talking about. Matt, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, Matt, say nothing else for a moment. I'm demonstrating my control over my thralls, which is an absolutely ridiculous concept. What I have here is a completely individual human being who is learning how to subsume his own ego into what is good for the tribe. And when I say learning, I mean this particular individual didn't really have much to learn. Once he got the concept, it was done. And he has become one of those valuable human beings that I have ever had the pleasure of knowing.
But I have a lot of respect for Stone Shore, and I also have I have an idea that I'm going to have respect for people who come in after me. And if I don't go through this process that we're trying to establish, I felt like personally, and we had this discussion, that I wouldn't expect somebody to go through something that I wasn't going to. So even though I could have come in earlier without having to go through this process, we discussed and we came to the agreement that I would, just so that it set a precedent.
It's like I mentioned earlier, I offered to both Matt and Autumn that because I was building my tribe, the two of them wouldn't have to go through a thrall period. And they elected to go through it for the reasons that Matt just talked about. And I think that that was wise. Because one day, I mean, obviously, I have never had to go through the thrall period of my own tribe. But one day, other people will. And they're going to look to the founding members of my tribe to try to figure out how these things work. And it's probably a good idea that the founding members of my tribe have, in fact, gone through it. And Matt and Autumn are going to be those people.
Well, if we're talking about the reasons behind it, it's because we're entering into a gift giving and a luck sharing and a frith relationship. We're delving into a deeper relationship than what we would have with people who aren't heathen. I have plenty of heathen friends. I have heathen friends who I get together with on a regular basis. My entire life isn't heathenry, but this is a very important part of my life, and this is this is part of my, this is part of my soul. That this is something I need to do, and in order to have that relationship at a heathen level, I need to make sure the other heathens that I'm going through this, that I'm going to be doing ritual with, that I'm going to be doing gloats and symbols and feignings with, they're on the same level as me. And I feel like tribe is kind of thrown around and people go in and get out of it too fast to have these different rituals have as much meaning as they could when you go through it in a reasonable way, when you take the time to develop the relationships before you start doing all of that.
Right. And I didn't coach him before this, so this is actually his opinions. I promise. For all of you Theosmen who think he's merely afraid of stairs, I told him before this he could say whatever he wanted and not fear stairs.
Yeah, believe it or not, we disagree.
Once in a while.
Yeah. But the thing about a chief is a lot of people want to do chief things, but a lot of people can't do chief things. And in Thorin, my wife and I saw somebody who was accomplishing things. And we are our deeds. He put together, with the help of some other really great heathens, Cascadia Moot. And he invited us into his home for Yule. And he's led us through several different symbols and feignings. The things that we do together, they have great meaning and thought behind them, and they're exactly what we were looking for in actual heathenry. And he's very face-to-face. We do these pub moots once a month. And the thing is that I looked for we both looked in value as much in who our chief was going to be as he was looking for people who are going to be valuable thralls. There's a mutual respect here. I might be trying to prove my worth to Stone Shore as a thrall, but you chose to let me thrall, and I want to be Stone Shore.
So, while Matt is sitting here making my head really fucking big right now,
I'll give it back to Josh.
Yeah, give it back to Josh because I'm not going to be able to fit my headphones here in a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to point out that for those of you would-be chiefs out there, and I highly encourage people to go and do. We are at a stage in heathenry where there are more heathens than there are tribes to hold them. Being a chieftain sucks. It really does. It seems all glamour and glory, but it's really not, because if you can't do the things that need to be done, if you can't support your people, if you can't find the right people, what you're going to end up with is a thing that falls apart. And even when you try the first time, it's going to fall apart. It might fall apart when you try the second time and the third time and the fourth time as well. So don't be discouraged.
So anyone who is, and I know we have crafty people in the audience. I know both Thorin and Matthew are crafty people. They're both blacksmiths. Everybody knows when you work on something, it takes work to get to where you can do it and do it well. And so when you're putting together a group of people, it's going to take time to find the right person. And that's
We can't just be friends on Facebook.
Well, I mean, we can, but you know, it takes time to find the right kind of person. And that's what ultimately the period of worthing is all about, is weeding out the people who aren't the right person. And I mean, I don't know. Sorry, 1 second. There's applause in the background. It's distracting.
Apparently, our local team has done something good in the sports ball arena.
So finding people who are worth having around takes time, and when you fail, it's not necessarily a indictment of you as a person. It's time to go back to the drawing board.
Right.
Heathen Talk itself has gone back to the drawing board a couple of times.
So many times.
To try and figure stuff out to where we can make things work. And we'll do it again. And that's just the reality of this kind of thing. We're working with humans, and humans are imperfect and flaky, and they have moments of greatness, but they're just moments.
Right. So now, just to lead the conversation on, Josh, I'm going to ask a question. And the thing is, I already feel like I know the answer to this question because I've had to ask myself this question. And I've had to go over this question time and time again in my head. And this episode has already gone beyond the family-friendly point. This is what happens when Lauren isn't here to regulate us. Why is it important when forming tribe or when dealing with tribe that is already formed and is trying to remain tribe to have a thrall period?
So for me, and this is coming, I need to reiterate here, my group does not have a formal thrall period. It does not have a formal worthing period. It is essentially you being with and around the group, and when you prove that you are worth having around, they decide to keep you, and they ask you to join. But the importance there isn't that, you know, they're lording anything over you or taking anything for granted, if you will. It's that you are showing who you are. You are showing your character over the period of, in every group I've talked to, at least a year. At least a year. And if you can't discern who someone is within a year, then maybe you're not a chieftain.
I agree. I would say that when I formed Stone Shore, I had a lot of examples to work off of, both in and out of the heathen world, actually. I didn't go with the form that I went just based on heathenry. I went on the form I went with based on the reality. I've been in a lot of situations where groups are formed where ideas of tribal cohesion are important. From the military to various hobbies to heathenry. And in all of these, what I saw was that there needs to be an introductory period. There needs to be a period where a group becomes a group. Nobody can just show up and be part of the group. It doesn't work that way.
Well, that's for you and everybody else in the group.
Right. Because I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and turn this to the audience for a second, those listening live and those not listening live. And I want you to think for a second. Have you ever seen a group that you wanted to join or that has been around that you have just jumped into and suddenly the group is the group and everything is cohesive and everything is awesome and everybody knows everybody and it's all like one big happy family? No, you haven't. I'm going to answer that question for you. And if you think it has, you're wrong. You're doing it wrong. And you're lying to yourself.
If you were listening to this podcast, you have a relationship with someone, whether it's your mother, your son, your best friend, the woman at work that you hate because she won't shut up about your hair. Whoever it is, you have someone you have a relationship with. Damned well that relationship, whether it's a hateful one or a loving one, takes effort and work. And if you come into a group, for instance, if you were here at the Pub Moot, or if you were at my group's winter finding thing, you would see us laughing and having fun and enjoying each other's company. But what you're not seeing is the debate and the argument and the straight up aggressive disagreement that takes place behind the scene, because that's not for you. And until you go through a period of getting to know everybody and getting to see the work that gets put in, which for most people is the thrall period, where you get to see the ugly truth of the people you're hanging out with,
right?
Then you just don't know.
Right. And
do I have to like everything about every other tribe member?
Absolutely not.
No, but do you have to accept that every other tribe member is somebody that you are now entering into a relationship with? Absolutely. And now I kind of want to get into that from a perspective of what are you trying to build? Because I think this is important. So I honestly did sit around.
So real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to pose the question to you.
Uh-huh.
Because every group is different. Every group has different desires as to what they want to be. I know groups out there that they want to be a force that pushes heathenry forward in a political sense. They want to see heathenry accepted by whatever official organization needs to accept a religion, that sort of stuff. You are a chieftain with 2 thralls.
Mm-hmm.
What is your goal? What do you see Stone Shore being?
I see Stone Shore being 2 things. And honestly, only 2 things. I see Stone Shore being a successful group of people where the individual members are able to succeed in life and as a result, better the tribe itself. Which I have stories to tell, as it were, of why that is already a thing. I also see Stone Shore as being a positive force in our local community, which is the only community that matters, to be honest with you. Which sounds short-sighted, but if everybody is trying to be a positive force in their local community, then that has echoes well beyond the local. As a result of those 2 things, I believe that makes Stone Shore a positive thing in the world. Because if our individual members are prosperous, and if our tribe benefits our community by its very existence, then we have bettered the world around us and the whole world as a whole.
So you mentioned the focus on your local community. And tonight's episode is about thralling. It's about proving your worth. How do you use, because in reality you're using your thralls,
Yes,
to push that forward?
well, I mean, one great example is, well, I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that tonight, because of the chieftain's poor planning, the chieftain of Stone Shore's poor planning, Heathen Talk is broadcasting live from Schulte's Bar and Grill. One of the things that we do locally is we run a monthly pub moot. It is a place where we encourage local heathens to gather, not for the glory of Stone Shore, but so that local heathens know one another. Sure, everyone who shows up here may or has some potential of being part of Stone Shore. But on the other hand, we get people showing up here who are members of other tribes currently, or who are so far away from us they'll never be a member of our tribe. There's a certain point where you're too far away from an area to be part of a tribe in the area. But maybe what we're hoping to do is to help you form your own. There are people that occasionally show up to this pub moot that drive 3 and 4 hours to get here, who cross bodies of water to come to our pub moot, because it is the only consistent local gathering of heathens. And by that note, and because we're advertising in a very as widely as we can in the local area, to as many sources as we can in the local area, we're getting heathens together. And that's honestly currently one of the things we're doing for the community. Have a lot of ideas of what we would like to do for our community, and I will straight up say that a lot of these things are only ideas at this point. We're working with local PhD candidates to try to be a positive force ecologically within our community, to back certain efforts about sustainability and the local environment. As individuals, we try to do similar things. I'm really having a hard time articulating
Mark
this.
and I have at least 60 hours each.
Right. Okay. So my thralls, for example, both each have about 60 hours at local food banks, just trying to contribute to our local community and get people where they need to be. So I guess that's what I'm getting at is the contribution specifically to local community helps local community grow and thrive. And when a local community grows and thrives, it becomes something can contribute
And
to the greater
we're more
area.
than willing to go and help other tribes, like Hawksheart.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, we've got ties to other local tribes where we have gone and we've helped them build, and they do the same for us. We've been in situations where we have had, well, I guess Cascadia Moot's a great example. We've been to Hawksheart, and we've helped them build on their land. We've helped them do things that are important to their tribe, and as a consequence, they've helped do things that are important to us as a tribe, which happen to be things that benefit the local community. And yeah,
I just want to point out that was a thrall who already has a full-time job, homework assignments, and all sorts of shit going on, as well as being a producer for Heathen Talk, asking for more work. I can find you more work.
that's more work is how you get escape stairs.
So we've talked about what we're doing locally. We've talked about but here's the burning question that I know I've heard from a lot of people, and it comes from other interviews, people who have gone through thrall periods, and one particular individual, I cannot remember his name to save my life. I'm sure a Theodsman will appear from the magic and tell me his name, but there was a particular person who had to repeat his thrall period. The general consensus is that thralls have responsibilities. And so for your group, now I can tell you straight up what got me membership, what proved my worth to my group was I took a road trip to a thing with a woman who is a member of the tribe to stand with her in a situation that was less than ideal. There was a soldier's funeral that was being protested by the Westboro Baptist Church, and he was related to a friend of our group. And so I went with a member of the tribe to the protest, and I stuck with her, and that showed that I was willing to go above and beyond. But that wasn't a duty because I wasn't a thrall. What is a thrall's responsibility within a group? What is your thrall's responsibility to Stoneshore?
My thrall's responsibilities are to prove their dedication to the group. Now, I think what I want to get into here is something slightly less specific about my group and more concrete about why I think this concept is important. And I'm going to delve a little bit into history, or possibly lack of history. From the sounds from below, again, our local sports team has done something amazing.
Actually,
in
no,
sports
it's 7:42.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet there's something Oktoberfest related going on.
Oh, no. You'll know when it's Oktoberfest related, because the people at this particular establishment get a lot more excited about Oktoberfest than they do about sports ball. No, that was definitely something that had to do with sports ball. Anyways, so, oh yeah, history. Now, the word thrall does exist in the history of heathen peoples. And what we are doing modernly has absolutely nothing to do with that. And the simple fact of the matter is that what we're trying to do with the modern concept of thralling is to recreate something that would have happened organically within ancient cultures. When you become a member of a tribe in ancient cultures, 99% of the tribe probably happened because your parents were members of that tribe, and you have the good fortune to be born into it.
So I'm going to disagree with you.
Are you?
I am not completely, but it is something that is often missing from modern society. And I know personally, that a lot of heathens lament the fact that we don't have this. But you became a member of the tribe, not necessarily because of your birth, but because you went through the rites of passage to become a man or a woman.
Okay, no, that's fair.
So I think a lot of the time what thralldom is a substitution of the rite of passage.
No, that's fair. But wouldn't you agree with those rites of passage within an ancient tribe where they were consequences of being a member of that tribe?
I would argue that the rites of passage for those tribes, and we see them more modernly at least on the North American continent, they're more modernly maintained through the indigenous peoples of this continent. But the rites of passage are not necessarily a consequence of already being a member, but are essentially part of becoming a full member.
Right.
Oftentimes you're granted the opportunity to those rites of passage because of your birth, but
right.
You can earn them other ways.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Okay, so you're, in antiquity, for the Arch-Heathen, you're born into a certain tribe. And you're probably not even going to think of that tribe as a thing.
Right, which is why you see, at least in language.
Right, it just is. Your people are your people. And your people have things that your people do. And one of those things that your people do is that when you hit a certain, not necessarily a number in age, but when you hit a certain point in your development, they send you through some particular rite of passage. An ordeal, whatever it may be.
What other organizations do stuff like that?
Well, the military does stuff like that.
The military does stuff like that. You also see it in, for instance, when you become a journeyman at a certain trade, right?
Right.
You have to put in so many hours and then usually pass a test.
Matt and I are in a similar situation though. We're both trainees. yeah, we're both apprentice electricians, and we'll get to a certain point where we've done a certain amount of time as apprentice electricians that will be given the opportunity to test into a journeyman level.
But you can't even test until you get to 3,000.
Right. But the argument I'm making is that in the modern day, we're doing that because we have opted into that. Matt and I both went down to the office at Labor and Industry and paid a filing fee to become trainees as apprentice electricians.
So
in antiquity, hold on a second. In antiquity, we would have started that way because, and not because of anything, but because we were members of those people, because we were born to that tribe. This is a natural consequence of being born into that tribe.
But
And
it's still an active choice, is I think what I'm getting at.
well, sure, it's an active choice, but what kind of choice is that? If you're part of a tribe, and in that tribe at the rough age of 14,
If we're talking about antiquity,
yeah,
then we're talking about when a family had too many sons, and eventually they didn't have.
silence
The
thrall.
money
You're
to
missing
pay.
the point. Being a thrall.
But
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, and
I'm
I see what you're
joking.
saying. But what I'm getting at is, and this is a fair criticism from much of the also true world towards heathenry, is we get hung up on antiquity. In reality, heathenry is a reconstructionist religion seeking to revive itself. It's a revivalist religion when you get down to it.
Right.
So we're taking a reconstructionist to bringing the religion into the modern day.
And we're addressing a modern day issue.
We are. And so you have this period of thralldom, which is an active choice. Matthew, who is our producer, who's sitting right here with us, he had to actively choose. I almost saw you put that in your mouth backwards. That would have been entertaining.
Not that drunk yet.
USB it.
Yes. He had to
Oktoberfest.
actively choose to be a thrall. What you've done is you have actively chosen to go through a rite of passage, giving up your worth to claim a spot as a man of Stone Shore.
Right,
And
and
I'm full
that's
of worth.
Well, yeah.
but that's my point. Is so you're born into, we'll go back to antiquity. You're born into a tribe, okay, and that tribe's custom is that let's just go ahead and pretend they know what numbers are, and say at the age of 14, that's when they put every male
Hold up.
individual.
I'm going to interrupt you. Pretend they know what numbers are.
Shush.
They knew how to fucking count.
Right.
They
My
could build
point-
goddamn ships.
My
I'm just saying.
My point being that usually things were handled in a much more organic manner. So it wasn't necessarily they did things because you were 14. It was because somebody thought you were ready.
That's
Okay.
a fair point, and I will concede that.
Okay. That jokes aside. So roughly around the age of 14, or when they thought you were entering adulthood, they had a certain rite of passage you went to. Now, how much option did you have to go through that rite of passage? Sure, you have the option to say no, but were you going to? And I'm going to liken this to a particular military, or at least a Navy tradition I know of, is when somebody goes from being a first-class petty officer to a chief. When somebody makes that leap in rank, there's a thing they call chief's initiation. Chief's initiation sucks. Now, I was never a chief. I did not become a chief, so I'm not a chief. But I've known several people who went through chief's initiation. And here's the thing about chief's initiation, is that when you go through it, it's optional from the very beginning. You don't need to go through it to become a chief. But the entire time you're going through all the various ordeals they present to you in chief's initiation, there's a bell. And that bell is always nearby. That bell is always where you can see it. And at any given time, you can go up and you can ring that bell. And you're done. You're a chief. You don't have to do any more of the bullshit that people are trying to put you through. So it's optional. However, the reality of the situation is that if you don't finish chief's initiation, if you don't go through all of it, none of the other chiefs who did go through all of it are ever actually going to see you as a chief. You'll wear the uniform, you'll wear the rank, you'll get the paycheck, you'll never advance to the next rank. None of the others respect you. None of the others see you as that thing. And I'm going to say that's the same kind of concept that we're looking at in rites of passage in antiquity, is that this is a thing that happens, and it happens at a certain time, and you are expected to go through it. And if you can, you try to go that ordeal, but if you don't follow through with that ordeal, and I'm not saying you never get another shot at it, you know, maybe you have that ordeal that is handed to you, and you fail it the first time, or the second time, or even the third time through. But if you never actually succeed in that ordeal, never follow through with it, you are never going to be fully accepted as somebody who went through with that.
We've got a few questions building up.
All right.
So,
Freaking tastic. I don't know if y'all can hear
Okay.
that. I'm imagining you can. But that's some polka music going on right now, and I'm super excited. I haven't heard polka for
And you
freaking ever.
know what? We straight up asked, you know, I've been coming to this place for 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. And I've been coming to Oktoberfest the whole time. And we were here earlier and they were playing shitty fucking music. I should have asked the owner, Don. I'm like, hey, can you cut the speakers off out back? And Don was like, yeah, no problem. Anything for you because I like you. But I've been waiting on the polka, and I'm really glad he forgot about it.
absolutely acceptable.
I'm not even, I vote we don't say anything.
Oh, no.
Welcome
The
to
polka-
HeathenTalk.com. We're having polka in the background. You're fucking welcome.
The polka's a thing. This is your life now.
Hey, so I'm going to start with my question, and then I've got some questions in the chat.
Go for
One
it.
is, we've been talking about the Thralling as a tribal perspective. What is, especially in ritual, what is the point of going through this Thralldom?
So,
For those of you that couldn't hear, is our producer Matt asked, what is the point of going through, in a ritual perspective, what is the point of going through Thralldom?
And for the tribe,
For
not
the
for the person going through, for the tribe to have people who are trusted.
so I know Thorin has an opinion on this.
I will, but I'm going to let you go first.
And as someone who has not gone through a formal thrall period for anything except for earning my spot on the starting team in high school football, which was for fucking ever ago. By the way, this podcast is apparently not heathen friendly because I've had 3 liters of
Oh,
beer.
no, it's heathen friendly. It's just not family friendly.
That's what I'm. Did I say heathen?
You did say heathen.
I've apparently had more beer than I thought.
We are both 3 liters in, so deal with it.
I apologize, Lauren. I'm sure this is gonna make iTunes freaking hate us.
Wait. Fuck iTunes, right?
Right. So, I haven't gone through a formal thralling period, but I did worth into my tribe. And the ritualistic importance of this was that my tribe, my group, the people who I now consider family, even in a fictive sense, it's fictive kin, they know that no matter what happens, no matter how vehemently we disagree, I've got their back. When it comes down to it, if somebody comes at my people, I come back at them. When something happens to my people, they know that I've got them. That wasn't important to me at the time because I was going through it. But to my people, they needed to know my character. They needed to know that I could set aside my political beliefs. They needed to know I could set all that aside to stand up and say, this is my person. I stand with them.
Right. So, for my part, the importance of this is knowing that the thrall has the best interests of the tribe in mind. The person is willing to subsume their own ego to the benefit of the tribe. And honestly, I can't sum this up better than without talking about what is happening within my own tribe. The best example of this is that my thrall, Matt, our producer, he recently got me a job. Not because I didn't have a job, because my job sucked. My job was steady, but it was limited.
Soul crushing, I believe is the word.
Soul crushing is a word that I use on more than one occasion. And even worse than soul crushing is the fact that I knew my advancement was pretty much done. There was nowhere else to go on my job. Now, Matt, knowing that he had a place where he worked, that advancement could go much higher because it was a smaller place that values the meritocracy of the ability of the worker above all else. Put his reputation on the line for me, and he recommended me as an employee. And this sounds like a strange reversal of roles from the thrall to the chieftain, which in a certain extent, certain matter it is. But in the end, what it is about the good of the tribe. Is he put me forward as somebody who could excel in the job that they had there. And I took the job. And 3 days into the job, I got a raise because I was immediately recognized as somebody who could do the job. And this goes back to a little bit of Orlog, is, you know, a little bit of weird, is that he also got a raise because he recommended me and because I excelled at the job. This is what I'm talking about with tribal interrelations, with the kind of things that make tribes worthy to one another, make the individuals within a tribe worthy to one another. And I bring up that concept of individual.
There's very few people that would have put my reputation there.
Okay, for those who couldn't hear.
That's the future reputation of my children. That's the money that's going to produce mine.
Right. For, is that coming through?
Yeah.
Okay. So I won't repeat what Matt said. But the point is, he put his reputation on the line for me because he respected me as a chief in his tribe. I came through. I valued what he had done. And I put myself into this job. And as a result, we have both benefited. And that is the essence of what tribal relations are. That is the, you know, for lack of a better word, that's the despotism of tribalism. You know, he had an opportunity that could have gone to anybody, but because I was a member of his tribe, it went to me. And because I was
The
a member
modern
of
world calls that nepotism.
nepotism, not despotism. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, but you were your deeds.
Third leader.
You've done exactly what you needed to do. And I knew that you would. Because
Right.
you developed this relationship.
Right. And the thing is, neither one of us would recommend a person to this establishment that we didn't think could excel in the same way.
And the thing is that a blue-collar job is very heathen in the way that it recognizes needs. Because
Right.
needs make money.
Now, you say that about blue-collar jobs, but the honest answer is I was in a blue-collar job before this, and it did not recognize deeds.
So I'm gonna push us forward here.
Yeah, you do that thing.
So I believe this question came from Skullgrim. He's been a guest on the show. He's a friend of the show. Love the dude. He's fantastic. He asks, should thralldom or the tasks involved be different for different genders? Further, should thralldom of a woman be controlled by the women of the tribe and vice versa? Since I asked the question, I'm going to give Thorin first crack at this one.
Awesome. Put me on the spot.
What to do?
So, the answer I would have to that is that it has absolutely nothing to do with women and everything to do with individuals. The thralldom of an individual should absolutely be different because the point that you're trying to make in that time, in my tribe, it's a year and a day. If I can't figure out, if my tribe can't figure out within a year and a day, if you're suited to my tribe, then we're doing something wrong. So, within that time frame, we need to put the individual to the test. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female. It doesn't matter if you're gay or straight. It doesn't matter if you're trans or cis. What matters is that we figure out who the hell you are. And as a result of that, have figured out what is going to make you break. I'm going to go ahead and liken this back to when I envision a thrall period. One of the things that I call back to in my mind are my days as a recruit in the Navy. My days as a recruit in the Navy, I realized that their whole function in boot camp was to break us mentally and to figure out where it is that we're going to break, where it is that we're going to crack, and to try to train us past that. And that's what you need to do with a thrall. I mean, honestly, for example, with Matt, he's the best example I've got here to talk about. Is his sticking point, his breaking point was always going to be, if nothing else, the concept itself of thralling. He was always going to be a good thrall if I could make him one. But the fact is, he had an issue with the very concept of thralling to a tribe because Matt has been through all sorts of shit where he is, under different terminology, been a thrall. He's been the boot camp. He's been the new guy in a unit in the Marines. He has seen shit in the Marines that I never saw. He's been the new guy at work in industries where that actually matters. We're not talking about, minimum wage jobs where everybody's pretty much everybody. We're talking about the jobs where you're going in as skilled labor and you have to prove yourself.
Long story short, I'm tired of being the new guy.
He's been the new guy so many times. And so when I approached him as a chieftain of my tribe, I have to convince him that he's willing to be the new guy to me. When he's been through that so many times, the idea of being the thrall, of having the idea of worthlessness in the eyes of the tribe was so extremely challenging to him that it was ridiculous. That was always going to be the point that I had to deal with Matthew.
So
And that's what I dealt with him.
I'm going to cut you off because you will talk forever.
I was almost done, but fuck you.
God damn long-winded person. For me, and I'm going to digress from Thorin a little
Wait. Can I stop this for just a second? For very important issues. Matt, I need you to take the earbuds out of your ears. I need you to go inside. I need you to find out about them tapping those wooden kegs. Okay.
Don't worry,
Because
I'll hold off peeing until you get back.
for those of you that are wondering, like we said earlier, we're live from Schulte's Bar and Grill, and tonight happens to be, we didn't realize this when we started, their Oktoberfest celebration for the year, and they're tapping a couple of one-off wooden kegs of rare beer, and we are going to drink some of it. So deal with the digression. Sorry.
So, but I'm going to digress further. Can I just say how perfect it is to have a Heathen podcast and there's goddamn polka in the background?
There is goddamn polka in the background.
Like, I'm listening to this and occasionally it's all victorious. Sometimes it's all, upbeat and party and it's fun, fantastic stuff. But my disagreement, and I wouldn't call it a disagreement, I would say it's different strokes for different folks. I think that when it comes to issues that are related are related to gender, and it was one of the reasons that we're looking there's a book we're looking at advertising. I'm wanting to get a woman's perspective on it because it's about women's issues.
Yeah.
Women understand what women go through better than a man ever will. And so if you have a thrall who is a woman, it's my opinion that absolutely that should be handled by the other women of the tribe, whether they're transgender or not. That if
Man,
it's a
they're
woman,
women.
it's a woman.
A woman's a woman.
And so for me, if you have a man who's in charge of a woman's thralldom, they're going to lack a necessary understanding of what that person has to deal with and what that person's life experiences are. And the reverse is true. A woman handling the thralldom of a man is not going to understand what that man has to go through, what that man puts up with every day. And so there's going to be a lack of understanding and necessarily a lack of the ability to empathize on a certain level that makes the thrall period more difficult for both parties.
I am absolutely not going to disagree with you.
You heard it here first. Heathens agree on something.
So, right now, my tribe is small. We have a big presence because I have this podcast to be on.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Josh. Now, no, we have a bigger presence than we do a membership. We have no women that are full-fledged members of our tribe, and now yet we have one that's coming up sooner than she knows. She doesn't actually know when I'm going to make her a member, even though I know. But you know, you got to keep your thralls on their toes.
It looks like she thinks that glass of water should be something harder.
She's also pregnant, so it can't be anything harder, and that's kind of awesome to me. But awesome. These get us some of the awesome wooden kegs that are being tapped later. But the fact is, eventually, we're going to get to a point where, yeah, the men and the women are going to be very specific. For example, I know exactly when the 2 thralls of my tribe are going to become full members. I also happen to know, unbeknownst to these particular individuals, who the next thralls of my tribe are. And I also know the fact that I have a certain structure within my tribe that's going to have a sponsorship concept. So I know who's going to be sponsoring those thralls in. One of them is a woman, and she is going to be sponsored by a woman who is currently a thrall if that particular person accepts the responsibility. And it's because, yeah, there's definite differences. Different people, and especially different genders, handle this kind of concept. I know that Matt and Autumn, my 2 current thralls, approach the concept of thralling from entirely different perspectives. Now, whether they understand they do or not, I can see it from the outside. So it just is as it is. Now,
That's going to take judgment from whoever the chief of the tribe is.
right, and I hope it's still me then.
No, I mean in general.
Right. No, I want to touch on that real quick because Josh has left for a moment. And I want to touch on the concept of tribe building as a whole. Because if you're going to thrall, if you're going to use the concept of thrall periods, which I believe and I hope I have expressed during this podcast is absolutely fucking essential to building a strong tribe, you have to have a concept of who the chieftain is, who is in charge. You have to have structure. And the thing is, that cannot be a 100% absolute thing. That is a course to failure. I am a chieftain of my tribe because they accept me as the chieftain. If there ever comes a time that they don't accept me as the chieftain, I'm not going to be the chieftain. If I have the type of ego that couldn't accept that, I would always sit aside and believe that I was the chieftain of Stone Shore while my tribe went off and did whatever the hell they wanted to do. But the fact of the matter is, in the real world, I'm only ever going to be the chieftain of Stone Shore by popular acclaim of my tribe.
Well, it takes pragmatism too. It's recognizing when people are doing the things that are going to make your tribe better and stronger.
Speak up, man.
It's recognizing when people are going to do the things that make your tribe better and stronger, and when they're in it for their own ego. And I definitely accept that you have quite an ego.
It's monstrous.
But you're still getting stuff done. So as long as that's the momentum and the way that it's going, it's worth thralling to you in the tribe.
And that's the thing. I know, or at least I hope, there's prospective tribal chieftains listening to this. And you have to understand, having an ego isn't a bad thing. I've got a monstrous ego. My ego is huge. Thank you, Josh. Josh is an understatement how huge my ego is.
I'm glad that Josh is back because I have a question from Mischief in the audience, in the live audience.
Okay. Our live audience is a question we'll get to in just a minute. But I'm too busy talking about how monstrous my ego is, because talking about how monstrous my ego is makes my ego even bigger. I'm surprised we have room on the back deck for my ego.
Now,
but the point is that no matter how big my ego is, I have to know what to do with all that ego. And what I'm doing with all that ego is trying to create something that I feel I can pass down to my children, that I feel I can pass down to the people who are willing to follow me, like Matt, like Autumn, these people who are creating what Stone Shore is. Because no matter how big my ego is, my ego can never be a member of my tribe. And it will certainly never be multiple members of my tribe. So if I'm going to have a tribe, I have to put my ego to work and I have to make it do things. And that's what I'm trying to do.
So the question posed by a member of the live audience is, why would somebody who doesn't know the full value of the people in the tribe start a Thralldom period?
I'm going to be honest. They wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't.
You don't join a tribe. And this is something that I've heard firsthand accounts from. It's something that's true of myself. If you are willing to thrall to someone, you know their worth already. You have spent time with that person.
Or you suspect it.
You may suspect it, but I'm going to venture out on a limb here, and I hope the audience will back me up, and I really, really hope there's a wild Theodsman in the audience who will look at me and call me stupid. But the simple fact is, nobody thralls to a tribe they just met. You can ask, but I guarantee you that tribe will turn you down. And there is a perfectly good reason. If you don't know my worth as an individual, why the hell would you want to be a part of what I'm part of? Member of the staff on Heathen Talk who did not know me before they asked to be part of it. Even Lauren, who I had never had an actual conversation with before joining, had been a part of conversations with me on the subreddit and seen the worth and value of my words and actions before forcing me to from Schultz's. But even before we started this, everyone knew who I was. Everybody knew what I was about, and they knew what I would do. I would be willing to bet that, Matthew, you knew enough about Thorin, and Autumn, you too, whether you knew it through Matthew or knew it personally, you knew enough about this man to be willing to set your ego aside to be part of what he's trying to build. I knew enough about the people who I am a part of to know that when we disagree, it is not a fatal error. It's not something that is so grandiose that we can't overcome it, that we can't work through it. That when I joined, when I was asked to and I accepted the invitation, I knew their worth enough to be willing to put an oath to it, enough to be willing to say, I want to be part of this.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely it. I mean, I know that I had, and this is the thing, to demonstrate to anybody who wants to eventually be part of a tribe, is that your chieftain and the tribe itself has as much to prove to Thrall as Thrall does to the tribe. I know that I have had people who have tried to join the tribe on way too much of a reputation level, I guess you say. I have had people who have tried to join this tribe when this tribe had not proven themselves to them. And that was because, more than anything, they were looking for a tribe. And that happens.
So, real quick, I'm going to interrupt.
Yeah.
Just for a brief second. I don't think this is too much of a tangent. If you're listening to the podcast, whether it's tonight, 2 days from now, 6 freaking years from now, and you were desperate for a people, desperate for a tribe, slow down.
Absolutely.
This isn't something that you rush into. You wouldn't rush into a marriage. We've all seen how that works out. when you join a people, when you join a tribe, a group, bear with us for a second. When you join something like this, you are joining your luck, your worth, and even your weird to people who you need to know, who need to know you.
Right.
And if you were that desperate for a people, take a deep breath.
Right. Now, I like I said, you know, and Josh brings a good point. I've had people that have come to my tribe and have tried to join us, who've tried to thrall to us, who have stated their worthlessness to us, without knowing us as well as they should. And my answer to them was, get to know us.
Slow your roll.
Slow down, think about what you're doing, get to know us. And that, as much as anything, is how do I put it? That, as much as anything, is a thing that you prospective tribal chieftains need to think about. Is don't just accept anyone. The person that's in my head on this particular example will probably make a wonderful addition to my tribe. However, I don't think at the moment they have thought through well enough. And so I told them no. I told them stop, think, come, join us at gatherings, see who we are, decide if you want to be one of us. And, you know, that person does show up, and he does join us. He does come and be part of us at gatherings. And one day he probably will be a member of our tribe. But the moment he asked us will forever be the time we told him no. And the time I told him no.
So, I want to digress just a touch.
Mhm.
You've talked to prospective chieftains, and they're important.
Yes, they are.
But just for a moment, to the people who are thinking about thralling to a group, to those of you who want to be a part of a people, who want to take this thing that is heathenry and become different within it. And that's not, I'm not talking down towards those of you who are in any way. However, to those of you who want to eventually thrall to a group, a rejection is not necessarily, this isn't dating. A rejection is not necessarily a hard no.
A rejection is in the moment.
It's I don't know you right now, and so as of this moment, we are not prepared to enter into that deep of a relationship with you. Sorry, guys. And that's an important distinction to make, because you may get a no right now, but in 6 months, after you have hung around and been a part of all that they have to offer, you may see they want you around. What do you think, Matthew?
Yeah. I'm
Words-
sorry, I was just going for a beer run. They just tapped those wooden kegs. So.
I've got this new beer in front of me, and I can't wait to taste it. But, so, did we have any new questions from the group?
Yeah. So, did you read the one that
I'm opening it up right now. Why don't you?
So basically, what's the benefit for people looking to go through Thralldom? What is the benefit to the thrall for the Thralldom period?
So I recently had a conversation with a very good friend of mine. I respect this man to no end. He's a wonderful man, and I would do pretty much anything for him. And when I asked him about thralling, he blatantly told me that there's a reason he doesn't talk about it. And I hope I'm not betraying anything from him here, but his words to me were, it's essentially like boot camp. You don't know what it is, even when you're going through it, until after you've done it. And so the benefit isn't necessarily something that is tangible, something that you can describe easily or readily. It is something at the end, something that brings out something new within you, and something that you don't quite know how to articulate while you're going through it. You know there are changes happening. You know that things are different. Again, sorry guys. You know that the reality of the situation is different than you had expected, but it's an entirely new thing, and you were learning how to be that thing. You may be a heathen. I am a heathen. And yet, if I were to go through a thrall period right now, I would come out a different heathen, because I would be learning an entirely new thing in an entirely new way. And that's the benefit, is you become something new.
Suggesting that heathenry is somehow based on your community?
I'm suggesting that heathenry is not only based on your community, it's based on what you do and how you do it. And that if you're going to do it right, you need to learn how to do it.
I mean,
So real quick, I know you weren't here for it. A mutual friend of ours described the thrall period as boot camp. And essentially what he meant was you not only you have no understanding of it if you haven't gone through it, you have no understanding of it when you go through it until you've come out the other end.
right. No, I 100% agree with that. So one of the things about being the chieftain of the tribe is that one of the best training bits you could go through to be that person is somebody who has been a thrall of some sort. And I've been through that. I've been through that on multiple occasions for multiple reasons, both within and without heathenry. And
Well, let's talk about this from a perspective of somebody who hasn't been in the military, because both of us have gone through.
well, I'm not
and
just
we've gone
talking about
through
the
that.
military.
Right, but
You know.
the thing is that you're joining a group and you don't know the culture of the group. So you're trying to learn it.
I can say, as someone who's never been in the military, who has only aspired to that and been robbed of it through physical injury,
That's really good.
it's fantastic.
Sorry, they tapped one of those mysterious wooden kegs we talked about. This is one of them. It's
Do you know the name of it?
fantastic.
I will find out.
Go find out.
Okay.
Thrall, go find out.
I will. See, the thing is that the military is an easy analogy. Doesn't mean that you have to have gone through something
No.
like that.
And the point I was trying to make was learning the culture of a people. And I know that we have not necessarily fans, but internet acquaintances and friends who object to the use of the word tribe. But learning the culture of your tribe or your people is necessary to functioning within that group. And there's no better way to learn it than being low man on the totem pole.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it comes down to, is the benefit of being a thrall is that you simultaneously have all the benefits of a group that is established that you can learn from, while at the same time having a group whose sole purpose is to teach you to be one of them. When you become a thrall, your purpose is to try to learn to be a member of the group, and that is infinitely easier than being the person who has to teach somebody to be a member of the group. My thralls have to learn many things. They have to learn a lot of what has led me to be the heathen that I am. They have to learn a lot of the source material, they have to read a lot of the books that I've read. They have to internalize a lot of the ideas that I have long ago internalized. They have to figure out things that I take for granted because they are part of who I am as a heathen. However, on the flip side, they also have the benefit of being students. And a student is never expected to be an expert. Because that was the question, right? What the benefit of being a thrall is?
Yeah.
The
Right.
question exactly was, what's the benefit to the thrall going through thrall?
And the benefit of the thrall going through thralldom is all of those things that I just mentioned. The ability to be, like I said, the student. The ability to be the person who has no expectations put upon them.
Are you
But-
suggesting that education is its own reward?
Education might be its own reward. They're doing a sign hoisting competition at Schulte's, which is absolutely awesome to witness, and you should all envy us because we get to see it. But
all the ladies that signed up,
the benefit
and also we could have like a couple
is you get to learn all of these
even if you
things.
did not sign up.
And you have a certain period of time before you're expected to take ownership of those things.
So beyond that, I would posit. I hate when that happens. I would posit that the value to the thrall, the person going through the thrall, is it gives them an opportunity to learn the character of the people around them.
Absolutely.
If you go through a period where, for all intents and purposes, you are considered worthless to those
All
around you,
right, looks like we have
how
a
they
strong
treat you
group
tells
of
you a
ladies
lot about
here.
if,
So I will go over the
for
official
instance, if
rules.
the person who's going through the thrall who
Your arm must be at a
doesn't
90-degree
get
angle.
treated with respect,
90 degrees, no bending of
then
the
you know
elbow.
that there's
That's gonna
very
be the toughest
likely
one to keep. The
no
elbow's
chance
the
of you
first
being
to
treated
go.
with
No
respect,
leaning
even if you've
back
earned
and
your
no
place.
stooling. The crowd is gonna be the judge.
I would
They're
say
gonna
that
call you
the
out. If they call you out, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to
process of being a
put
thrall,
you
while
out. So it's a
labeling
national
you as
competition.
worthless
Again, so if you are
is
the last
really a
one standing,
test of
stay
worth to the
standing,
people
and
you're
then we'll
with.
give you a trip to
It really
Vegas,
is.
followed
I
by
mean,
a trip to Munich Oktoberfest next
the
year.
beautiful thing is you have all of the, in the modern thrall
Do we
period, for the
have
most
any
part,
questions?
you have
Everyone?
most of the benefits
Everyone's got it? All right. Grab a
of
side and
being
cradle it for
the
now, and then I'll
individual,
give you a 3, 2, 1.
of being a member of the tribe,
Grab a side
of
and
being
cradle.
somebody with input, of being somebody with worth, without most of the consequences.
All
Because
right.
once you become a member of a tribe,
3,
you are speaking
1,
with
boys.
the authority of that tribe. When Matt and Autumn become members of my tribe, they're going to be speaking with the voice of Stone Shore whenever they open their mouths. And right now,
3 years
they
ago,
get to
the
do that
national
with the
female
knowledge that
winner
at any
went to
given
Munich
time I can sit up
Oktoberfest
and be like,
next year.
well, not so much. But,
Her time was 9 minutes.
and they're not going to face any consequences aside from me trying to teach them something new. Once they become members, the consequences, they are damaging the tribe itself if they speak outside of the realm of the tribe.
So we've
So-
only got a few more minutes before this podcast is
Yes. So the beautiful thing about being a thrall is you have all this time to learn, to try to be a member of a people that want you, that have already expressed their, and that's the thing, is we talk about expressions of worthlessness, but that worthlessness has a what's the word I'm looking for?
over. A microcosm?
No, not a microcosm. That worthlessness has a context. Your worthlessness is a straight concept to the tribe. You are spending your 12 period demonstrating your worth to the tribe. That doesn't mean you are an individual without worth. It means the tribe has not yet recognized that worth. And as a result, you can act to a certain extent without impunity, or with impunity, until the tribe decides that you have shown worth. Once you show worth, that's when the easy part is over. And now you have to act in a way that the tribe deems positive. Because at the end of the day, the whole point here is the goodness of tribal cohesion, is the goodness of demonstrating to the tribe that you are one of them. Because at the end of the day, the definition of good is that which promotes tribal cohesion, that which promotes, is for the benefit of the tribe. And the definition of evil is the opposite of that. That which damages tribal cohesion, that which damages the good of the tribe and works against the good of the tribe. So for that thrall period, you do not necessarily have to. You have to worry about it, but you don't have to worry about as much the consequences of your actions. Once you are a full tribal member, you have to worry about those consequences.
So it's 8:31. There's celebration going on behind us.
There is.
There are wonderful people with us here who I cannot wait to get back to returning my attention to. However, I want to take a minute. And this could be the fact that I'm 3 and probably a quarter liters in, as well as a shot of. Well, I don't drive anyway, so.
We already have designated drivers, just so you people know.
But I want to take a couple of minutes. Lauren, I don't know if you're listening to this podcast, but we really do appreciate the hell out of you. And we didn't toast you tonight for any other reason than the fact that we miss you and we want you here. To the person who is helping us with the stream, you are a valuable person to us. We cannot wait. We cannot wait until we can unveil things and share with everybody what's going on. And to everybody who's listening to this podcast live and everybody who downloads this podcast, and to the people who are here with us, thank you. I really appreciate everything that you guys do for us, whether it's just sharing likes with us or helping us ignore the people who think that we're cucks, which is a wonderful word. I've come to love said word. You guys are the reason we do this. When other heathens are retreating from the public sphere, we're here because we know that there are those of you who really, really want good content and who want to hear what heathens have to say. And so, thank you so much. I'm not even going to ask for your money. Normally, this is part of the podcast where I'd be like, go give us money. Fuck that this week. Thank you.
Are we clear?
You're
I'm going to ask you your money.
Not only are you competing
All right, well, he's going to ask for your money.
I like your money.
also competing against the next heat of guys.
Will you
in
get
this
into
bar.
the
So-
Yes.
So,
Yes.
real quick,
Come on behind.
we just
we're on live on
We're-
podcast.
Are we clear?
we're signing off.
This
We
guy
have-
right here.
Three,
This is Don Schultz.
two,
He is the owner of the establishment that we are at right now. Don is an amazing man. And actually, for the beginning, you know how it was
This
partway
guy's my
through.
brother. He always says nice things about me. He must want something right now.
I always want something. I want Don to keep running Schultz's because this place is phenomenal.
I will
It's
continue
one of my
to
favorite
run.
places of all time, and he's giving us free beer. I didn't know that before I started saying nice things.
And
Prost!
real quick, if you are in the Seattle area and you are looking for a good pint of beer, you're looking for a good bratwurst,
30 seconds.
come to Schultz's, please. This place is awesome.
Please.
Yeah,
Yes.
ask for me. I'll buy you a beer.
Haha.
Cheers,
You
guys.
heard
I'm
it
gonna
from
get
the
back
owner.
to work.
First
Thanks
time we've seen
for the
this
show.
year is 6
Thanks,
years.
Don.
So to finish things off, I just want to thank everybody again. Thorin, this has been a great show, despite the fact that everything went to shit in a fucking hurry. And
We made it work,
I just want to finish with saying, y'all are doing
1
it.
minute.
and you're not the boss of me.
Good night, everybody. You have a wonderful day.